So tonight we want to see, how do we build a business plan? Or the question should be, should we even be building a business plan? Do we have to build a business plan? I mean, I'm sure there are different questions that we have on our mind. But in the next 45 minutes, I'll do my possible best to do justice to the topic. And I do hope you find value in the conversation. Okay, I'd like to start with the scriptures that you have on the screen. And somebody's wondering, we are talking about business plan. Why do we need scriptures? You know, it's important, you know, because this is a Christian fellowship and we're rooted on the word of God. But beyond that, you know, there are some very key learnings, takeaways from these scriptures on the screen. It says, you know, talking about the creation in the beginning, we're told that, you know, the Spirit of God moved upon the waters. God was pondering, you know, God was processing. I mean, that's my interpretation. So it means before God said, let there be light, God had spent some time to go through his mind and plan. So there's another scripture that says, we intending to build a tower doesn't sit down first to count the cost. You know, it's ridiculous most of the time when you see buildings that are towering, that are huge and big. They were started 10 years ago, but never completed. And somebody is wondering, how could you have started this kind of gigantic project and not complete it? But usually, if you check very well, amongst other reasons, it's always tied to poor planning. Somebody starts a project, did not plan properly, did not look at the cash flow, did not look at the future, the sources of funds, and how to sustain. So you get into the business and then you're stuck. You know, and I like this particular scripture that says, a prudent man foresees the evil and hides himself, but the simple pass on and they are punished. The simple pass on and they are punished. And that reminds me of a story as I start that I learned as a child. I remember growing up, I was in church and we had a pastor at that time, Pastor Akemu, and he said this story and he stayed with me. It's a story of two countries in the 1980s. And some of us can probably relate with these countries. And our conversation tonight is about planning your business plan, okay? And he said, according to that story, that in the 80s, there were two countries. One country called Nigeria and another country called Kuwait. And he told us in that story that in the 80s, both countries discovered oil around about the same time. And the country called Nigeria had what we call the oil boom, you know. It was celebration galore. As a matter of fact, history tells us that, according to that story, that we had a particular head of state, you know, that was on national TV, and he said, you see, our problem as Nigeria is not money. Our problem is how to spend the money. That was talking about the amount of resources we had available unto us as a nation. But it will interest you to know that about the same time, the people in Kuwait took their time to sit down and they brought in experts. They brought in economists, they brought in, you know, petroleum engineers, you know, accountants, finance people. And they began to ask questions and they said, this oil boom that we have today, will it always be like this? And from their planning and research, they were able to conclude that in fact, the price of oil will continue to go up and come down, go up and come down. And based on that research, they were able to make decisions, including setting up what we call today the Kuwaiti Investment Office. At the time that story was told, I mean, I didn't check it again this time, but at the time that story was told to me, the country of Kuwait was making more money from non-oil sources than from oil. This is 2023. Our country, Nigeria, that our problem was not money, our problem was how to spend the money. Here we are struggling with removal of oil subsidy. Here we are struggling with how to increase revenue by taxing people. So somebody's probably saying this evening, well, but I'm not a business person anyway, so why do I need to raise a plan? Why do I need to plan? And I would like to really start the conversation by saying to you that it doesn't matter where you find yourself, whether you own a business or you are like me, you're an entrepreneur in a business and probably doing other businesses. But the reality is, I mean, a wise man said, Dr. Miles Monroe said, if you do not have a business, you will probably die poor. Of course, we can challenge that, but the reality is 9 out of 10 cases, if you don't have a business, you would never be really very successful financially because you must have multiple sources of income. Okay, so where does that take us? I like to start the conversation with this quote by Howard Thurman, and it's a quote that challenges me every day. And I'd like to challenge you with it. And he says this, he says, there's something in you. There's something in each and every one of us that waits and listens to the voice of the genuine in ourselves. And, it's a quote that disturbs me because it says, it will be perhaps the only voice you will ever hear. And if you cannot hear it, he says, all of your days may be spent at the ends of strings that somebody else pulls. If you cannot hear it. But the reason that you're here tonight is because you will pull your own strings. I mean, the reason that you are here tonight is because you will come up with ideas and our lives will not be spent at the ends of strings that somebody else pulls. So tonight I'll be speaking to us about building a business plan. And I like to say this, that everything I'll be saying tonight, you probably know already, believe me. Everything I'm going to be saying tonight, you've probably heard before somewhere or in some form. So I would like to say to you that I'm not asking you to agree with me in my approach or in my conversations tonight. But what I'm asking is that you open up your minds, we listen and converse together and see how, we can work together and, make meaning of the conversation. Now, when we talk about raising money in business, some people say there's no money in Nigeria. Some people say, how do you even raise money? So one of the things I did before starting the conversation, I checked in the year 2023, are there businesses that have raised money? And it will interest you to know that this is July, but in Nigeria this year, and this is from Nairametrics, so you can check the facts, there are startups that have raised in dollars, 3.3 million, 1.9 million, $3 million, 3.2, these are businesses in Nigeria. These are not American businesses. You can check it out. So that's just to establish the fact that you can actually make money in Nigeria. Now, what is the relationship between raising capital or funding and a business plan? Well, the relationship as we start is just to make us understand that you would not be able to take your business to the next level without a plan. And we will see why. You will not be able to take your business or your idea to the next level without a business plan. And when you have a business plan, you must also understand, what is my business plan about? Am I trying to raise funding in terms of capital for my business, or am I trying to take a loan to finance my business? So tonight, in the next 25 minutes, we'll be talking about how do businesses get funding. We've already established that if you're on the call tonight, you have to pull your own strings. And if you must pull your own strings, you have to build an idea that is your idea, and you must have a plan because you want to build a successful tower because it takes time, right? Okay, so how do you source for funds? That's the first thing we'll look at. Then, what are the stages of, funding a business? And then we'll look at what are the investor types, or how do we get funding? Because for me, I think the most important part of building a business plan is understanding why you are building the plan, or understanding where you are before you decide how your plan will be structured. So I think I'll spend the least amount of time giving you a structure of a business plan. That's what I'll spend the least time on. I'll give you links, I'll give you sources, but my focus is helping us understand where we are in our journey as business people, and then giving us a vision of where we can go to, and then I'll give us the tools. Okay, so how do we raise funding? What are the sources of business funding? Basically, there are usually two sources generally, based on business finance. So it's either you're raising equity or debt, and equity usually is, I own a business, I start a business, and then I talk to people, or they could be partners, they could be family, they could be friends, to say, I want to run this business. I need 100 million naira, and I want you to have shares in this business. So I want you to put your 100 million or 50 million or 20 million or 5 million. However, there are no guarantees in this approach, right? I'm just saying, put your money in, I guarantee that we will make money. That's usually what equity is about. But sometimes you have a very beautiful business plan and you say, no, I don't want to give anybody shares in this business. The idea is too sweet. What I want to do is I want to carry the risk. So I take debt, I take a loan more or less, and I back it up. It could be with, whatever kind of collateral. And for that, it's a case of, I'm taking a loan, is at 30% per annum. I'm taking it for 3 years, 4 years, 10 years, as the case may be. And what I'm paying back in that case is I'm paying back the interest to the source of finance. Whereas in equity, usually what you're paying is dividends, as the case may be. So it's important to establish this, because in building a business plan, we have to understand what we are building the plan for. Because what will interest an equity investor is not what would interest a debt investor. An equity investor may be interested in your ideas. Somebody who wants to give you debt is not interested in your ideas. He wants to see your cash flows. He wants to see how viable your business is. How much have you made? Is your business sustainable? Is it profitable? Can you make this money back? Somebody who is giving you money for equity is looking at the long term, the opportunities in that business and the possibilities. So it's important to understand this. Now, number two, for startups, which is my focus this evening, what are the stages of a business? Before we start talking about building a plan, whether you're a lawyer or you're an accountant or you're a manufacturer, you're an IT person, irrespective of where you are, when you have a business idea, it starts from different stages. And the first stage is the idea stage. That's the stage where, you wake your wife or your husband up at night and say, I have this beautiful idea. I want to do this. And the guy says, how do you want to do it? You say, oh, I know that I can build the biggest business in Africa. It's just an idea. Now, that's usually where businesses start. And I would like to say that you do not necessarily need to start your business with a business plan. But if you must grow and move, to the levels that we're talking about, then you need a plan. So peradventure, you have an idea, you start, and this is where a lot of people, they have an idea, they leave their jobs and they jump into it. Usually when you have an idea, you need to run it with your own resources, essentially, right? That's where it starts. So that's not the point where you are going to the bank. No bank is going to give you, resources for that. So usually when you have an idea, at that stage of your business, you are doing personal savings, or you are bootstrapping, using your earnings to trade. Now, the next level is what we call the development stage. So now I have tried this idea. I've realized that I can sell pepper. And I've realized that when I buy the pepper at this amount and I grind it and I package it, this is the kind of profit I can make. Okay. So I've tried it out with people in my church, my family and friends. Now I'm taking it to the development level, I'm scaling it, further. Now, at that level, you probably need more resources. That is when you can talk to family and friends, your spouse and so on, really, because you are saying, I have this idea, I've tested it. Look at how much money I've made. That's the development stage. Now, when you get to that stage and you put in more money, it's a different kind of plan at that stage, right? It's no longer an idea, it's now reality. Then we are now saying, okay, now we have built this business. We're in Ibadan and we're doing well. Yes, we're around us, we're doing well, we're making money, but we want to scale it. now you want to really go to the market and, be a proper business. You want to have a structure, organization. At that stage is when we start talking about what we call seed funding. And I'll break it down, and you're looking for small investments, and that's when you really start talking about proper investments, when you start going to angels and so on. Now, when you do well at the go-to-market stage, we then get into what we call the expansion stage. And that's where, if you have been listening to the news, you'd have heard organizations like Money Points, Flutterwave, you hear they're raising $20 million, $30 million into private fundraising. That's the expansion stage. Now you have proven your business, you have funded it, but you're at a level where we want to go across Africa, we want to go across Nigeria. That's the expansion stage, And, in life, scripture says there's seed time and harvest, So the truth about life is you must go through the stages to grow your business. Now, it's important to establish this. And usually when you have expanded the business, depending on the kind of business, that's when you start talking about an IPO, or you want to go public. Now, we're still talking about building a plan, your business plan. So it's important as an individual, as somebody that has an idea, as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, you work for a business and you're trying to set up a strategic business, you need to make money, to understand where you are in that journey. Okay? All right. If you are with me, just let me see a thumbs up so that I know that I'm communicating and, we're following, right? Okay. You can do a thumbs up. You can do a hi. I just want to be sure that we're together this evening. Now, thank you very much. Shefumi, thank you. Thank you. I see that. And forgive me if I call you by your first name. It's easier for all of us, right? Okay. Thank you. Now, for businesses, we're talking about building a business plan. It's also important to understand the various stages of raising funds, okay? Because what you are raising or where you are in your business determines what you raise, also determines how you structure your plan, also determines who you're speaking to, right? So usually we start talking about raising funds for a business when you get to the pre-seed stage. And that's the stage where you have a proof of concept. That is, you yourself have built your idea. You have something that works. You can tell somebody this business works. It can make money, right? And you probably need more resources and so on. So we usually say that that stage, you are looking for between $10,000 and $1 million, right? And then when you have been funded, right? So you go from pre-seed to seed. There are different stages. Then we have what we call the Series A, right? And the Series A is, now you have been funded, you have established, you have proved your concept and idea, you're now trying to grow. You're trying to get to the next level. You're trying to do, proper operations, branding, marketing. That's the 10 million stage, right? That's what we call the Series A. So your business is already making money. So the question is not whether the idea makes sense. The idea makes sense. The business is making money. The challenge we now have is we want to expand because we realize that to sustain this business, we must be all around Africa, for example. Then you're now getting to the growth stage. At that stage, you're looking for between 15 million and 25 million. Now, I'm taking my time to explain these things because for each of these levels, there are different kinds of investors, and the investors will determine how you position your plan, okay? And then you get to the Series B, Series C, okay? So now when you know where you are as a person, as an individual, as a corporation, the next thing is, who are the people or what are the sources of funds? I've said to us, you can do equity, you can do debt, as the case may be. So typically, like I said, you want to start by talking to your friends and family. And, it's interesting that, for me in our own business, family and friends we're at the pre-seed stage in our business at this stage. And all the investments, most of the I think we've only had one institutional investor from the Silicon Valley, but every other funding we've had has been family and friends. It's been that conversation of, this is what we're doing, sir. Look at what we are making. This thing can grow. And that's usually the first, because if your family and friends cannot believe in your plan, if you cannot build a plan to convince your family and friends, it's not likely that you will convince a bank. And then we now have banks and government agencies. I always say to startups, and entrepreneurs that that's not the first place to go. And I'm saying this from experience as well, because at some point we are pre-seed, but we are pursuing banks. I mean, banks are going to run you around, right? Because they'll tell you, give me this, give me collateral, when they give you all of those things, you could as well shut down your business and go and get those things. So it means you're not ready because the bank is looking for cash flow. So you must be at a stage where you're raising money. Then you have angel investors. So angel investors are usually these people, they're around, they could be groups, they could be individuals that are looking for businesses to invest in, right? And they do exist. Right? I mean, we don't have a lot of time to go into the details. I would have shared a lot of them. But I always encourage people that when you hear that Flutterwave just raised money, you can go online and check. You will see the people that gave them money. In fact, you will see the different stages because that's what we do. You will see the different stages and then you can start investigating how to get to them because there are people that put money in finance, there are people that put money in manufacturing, fintech, and the different areas. Okay, then you have the accelerators and incubators, which are people that are looking for, oh, brilliant idea. We'll put some money in this. We'll wait for you to grow. We'll take our money out. We'll sell the company at the next level. But these are sources of funds. Then you have family offices. There are people like Henry Ford. There are some big people that have made a lot of money and have set up a vehicle, and they're looking for specific, investments to do. Usually, those investments are most of the time they have preferences and interests. But these are places where you can get funding. And then you have the venture capital funds, and those guys are usually interested when you are in a Series A, Series B. So when you're in pre-seed and you're running after VCs, you'll be stressed out because VCs are more strategic. While your accelerators want to do 1 to 2 years, a VC can do 5 years, put money in the business, allow the value grow and take it out. And then you have corporate investors as well. So what do investors look for when you are building a plan? And this is important because it's not just about building your plan, it's about addressing the needs of your investors. So now you know where you are in your funding journey of your business. Now you know where you can get money from. Okay, so what are the things that investors look for? And the first thing all of the time is the business a good investment opportunity? There's a parable where Jesus was talking to us and he mentioned how the parable of talents, if you know that parable. And when the master came back, he was upset because he was like, Abba, even if you cannot do anything with my money, you should have given it to money changers so that the money can at least generate some interest. So, there are times that people run business, they say, oh, I have this idea. But when you sit down and you talk about it, I'd rather leave my money in a savings account and get 10% than give that money to you because we can already see that the business will not go anywhere. So it means the onus is on you as the business owner or the owner of the idea to make sure that your business is a good investment opportunity. What does that mean? What you are buying and what you're selling, if you are trading, is it profitable? Is the profit reasonable? Is your pricing good? Are you making money? So when you are running the business where you are not generating income and you cannot show a path of how you will generate income, nobody will be interested in investing in it because you would have noticed that, especially in Christian circles and so on, everybody is friendly, everybody is nice. But when we start talking about money, people don't play with their money because people work very hard for their money and they're not about to throw the money away. So is your business a good investment opportunity? And essentially, I say that from an accounting perspective in terms of, is your business profitable? So when you sell 1 unit, do you make profit no matter how small? So that we can know that when we sell 1,000 units, this is how much we can make. If you can't answer that question, you will not be able to convince an investor. Now, there's a possibility that it's not profitable at this scale, but as it grows, but you must be able to show that. So, we always say that when you look at early stage investors, they look at your business and they are saying, this business, if I put $1 million, can it give me times 10 of this in 3 years? If you can't, they are not interested. Active investors will be looking at it and saying, okay, equity investors will say, I want to put money in your business. And I remember I was having a conversation with a friend and a sister recently. She's trying to set up a school and we're looking at the business plan. And the question was, if you want people to put in $5 million, 5 million naira, 10 million naira in this school, in 5 years, how much money are they going to make for taking that risk? That's the first thing. So if they will not make money, people can understand if it's, early stage investors, family and friend, they look at your business plan, your financial plan, they say, okay, we won't make money in year 1, but by year 3, 4, 5, we will make money. They can take the risk. So you must understand again who you are talking to. If you are talking to a bank, your plan must be able to show that the money will be made. And then also investors want to understand what's your market. So like for my own business, where I'm part of, where I work for, the business is focused on retail. Now, everybody talks about online, Jumia, Konga, and all these places. But we have realized that 95% of trade in Nigeria that runs into billions is actually offline. People are still exchanging cash. People are still exchanging cash. People are still making transfers. People are still going to POS to collect cash to buy. So it's a huge market. So we have identified our market. We have seen that retailers have challenges, collecting payments. We have seen that even government has challenges collecting payments. The new government is looking for how to collect payments. So the market is huge, So when you're talking to an investor, they want to understand what is your market. Who are you trying to sell to when we talk about market, right? And then competition. Who is doing what you want to do? What are the chances that you would succeed in that market? What's your, so they want to understand that, because in certain markets, in red oceans, is more difficult. If it's a blue ocean that, in fairly new, little competition, it increases the interest. So now we're already talking about your business plan, because your business plan is essentially the plan of how you want to make your business successful and the things that you will do. And these are the things that make up that plan, okay? And then your team. You talk to a lot of business people, or you look at business plans and you look at the team. Yes, it is me. I have 20 years of banking experience. I'm the CEO. I'm the lawyer. I'm the accountant. I'm the head of marketing. It's not going to work. Serious investors are not going to put their money with you, because serious investors want to understand, okay, corporate governance, because we're talking about money here. What's your structure? Who are the people around you? Even if you don't have a board today, is there a plan? Who is handling your legal? Because you have contracts to do. Procurement, how are you planning to do it? Human resources, do you have a plan? Now, there are many ways of doing these things. I always encourage people. You can work with people in the industry and just say, oh, people that can, when you're starting, but let them be on the team, right? I was making this presentation somewhere and it occurred to me, and I like to say this, and I was going to discuss this with, other stakeholders in my own business to say, the business where I run, we're all mostly over 40. I'm probably the youngest, but on our team, we have lots of people that are 30, 25, 20, core team members, product management, development team. But when we share our pitch deck, we don't put them there. So it means when somebody is looking at my pitch, is wondering, is it these people I want to give money to? Where's the future? So now we're going to bring that in, because it's going to show that the team is balanced. There's a lot of future. You see, 20 years of experience, understand corporate governance, I've managed businesses, and then there's a bit of the future. So your team is important. Their competence, commitment, their understanding of the domain. Oh, if it's technology, who is handling your infrastructure? Depending on what you do, you must have domain experts. And then these people must be able to speak, to the dynamics of the business. So you must be able to show that, okay? These are things that investors will look for. Now, let's talk about your business plan, right? Your plan must cover the business concepts, what you are trying to do. We're a startup, we're in education, we want to go into training, we want to go into advisory services, we want to go into building construction. You must be able to talk about, like I said, we understand our own market, we're in retail, we're looking at offline retail, so your customer segments, and then what's your business model? How would your business make money, right? We can't go into too much of those details. And then what's the business case? I asked you before, is it profitable? What's the justification? Why should I put money? So I'm trying to say to you that, see, look at these other businesses that have done this. Look at these businesses that have missed out on this opportunity. If you put your money in this business, this is what you can make. But it's not just, it's not moral suasion. It's not trying to convince. It's about hard numbers that we look at, right? And then people are also interested. You may have a beautiful idea, but the idea only speaks to people in Ikeja or VI. That's a very small market, right? So depending on who you are speaking to, you want to see the potential in the market. So, our own business, we're in Nigeria, we're trying to scale in Nigeria, but we have big ambitions because Africa is a big market, right? Also, we're already talking in Sierra Leone. We're looking at Ghana. It's not about the size of your operations in those markets, but it's about the opportunity in that market. So your business plan forces you to think very big of what you're trying to do. What's the potential? And then the easiest thing to do is to plan. If you take your time. The most difficult thing to do is to execute. So how do you intend to achieve this, right? So that's when you begin to say in year one, we have 5 team members. We're going to spread around 1, 2, 3 states. And this is how we'll go to market this way, online or direct marketing. And when we do this, we're going to make this kind of money. And then from year 2, we're going to this new level. So you have a big plan, but you have a roadmap of how to get there. And then you're also saying, this is where we are. So for my business that I work for and I'm part of, we have multiple things that we want to do. We have big ambitions. But today, where are we? I think we're only right now scratching the surface. We're probably like 5% of our ambitions, right? So we're entering the market, doing what every other person is doing while we're building our platform. And as we're doing that, we're understanding the market, we're scaling out, we're taking up new opportunities and we're growing, but we're very clear about where we want to get to and we know where we are. So the investor wants to understand. And I've already mentioned the team and then competition. There is no investor I've spoken to that would not ask me, oh, we like this thing, it's nice. But the next question is, what's the risk? What's the risk? Depending on the kind of investor. The bank will do their risk assessment by themselves. So they know if your business is, worth it or not. But typical other investors, VCs, accelerators, angel investors, they want to understand the risk factors in your markets, the environmental factors, the political factors. What are the things that can affect your business? Is your business regulated? Can the new government come up and say, we're shutting down this business? What are the things that can happen? So you want to talk about competition, you want to talk about risk, the political environment, the economic environment, social environment, what you're selling or what you're trying to provide. Is there any conflict with religious beliefs in the environment? All of these things are critical because we must look at them, right? And then the question that would always come is, how much money do you need? How much money do you need? Most of the time, if you don't have a plan, you will never be able to answer that question because sometimes people say they need $1 billion, but you realize that, like when we started our business, I think we're looking for $5 million, but we later realized that actually with $500,000, you don't need anybody to give you money except you want to now scale. Because if you can get somebody to give you $500,000, you can run the business and make it profitable. So why are you looking for $5 million? Because everybody's raising $5 million. You're not yet at that stage, okay? Right? And then most investors, especially when you're getting to the seed stage, Series A, when you're growing and scaling, they want to know your exit strategy. And that's basically, this business you are growing, is it family and friends? You want us to bring our money so that you can bring your children and make it Adedeji unlimited? Or what's your plan? And usually it's a part of business planning where you must be able to say, for us, for example, we're very clear about our exit strategy. We grow the business, we make it profitable, we sell off, we allow a bigger player take it over and grow the business. Now, that would interest some businesses. It will not interest some people. I've seen some startups in Nigeria that sold the business. They started the business, they cashed out, they made millions of dollars, but they're still executives in the business, right? So they had a clear exit strategy that we'll build this business, we'll make it scale successful, and we exit. Business is not about, we say things like, I must pass it to my next generation. No, it's the returns from the business that you need to pass to the next generation. As a matter of fact, depending on the kind of business, if you grow it, make it successful, you cash out, and you look for other areas to put your money into. But what we're saying is your investors want to know what your exit strategy is, okay? So, and I think I've spoken, so, there are different strategies. Some people want to pass it to a successor, some want to sell off, some want to sell it to the employees, but investors want to know. And it's part of what you must think about as an investor or as a business owner. So now very quickly, like I said, I'll spend a few minutes talking about documenting the plan. So a typical business plan. And what are the things you want to cover? So your overview of your business. And I must say that there are 1,001 templates out there. So if you're trying to build a business plan, there are 1,001 templates out there. And I always like to say that the idea, the owner of the idea, you must be part of building that business plan. So yes, you can look for an accountant to help you with the financial plan. You can look for somebody who understands marketing to help you with your marketing plan. But you see, those people can never help you if you don't understand the plan or the idea. So you need to understand, the framework of your business, and then those people can help you do things like building your financial, profitability forecast, your cash flow forecast, your financial position, your balance sheet, they will do that for you. Or your marketing strategy, they will do it for you, but they need to understand. So you must be part of the business plan, right? So the overview would describe your business, your products and services. The marketing plan would talk about your target market, and your products, for your product and how you want to get to that market. Like I said, do you want to do direct marketing? Do you want to knock door to door? Do you want to do digital marketing? What kind of marketing approach do you want to follow to get to them? And then you have your, financial management plan. So, we've said, is your business profitable? Sometimes you can see a beautiful story, but serious investors would always want to see the naira and the kobo, the dollar and the cents, how much goes into the business, how much comes out of it, how much can the business make? So you must be able to speak to that. And it's your financial plan that speaks to that. And then your operations and management plan, that is the soul of your business in terms of how will the business be structured. This is our organogram. These are the roles that we will have in the organization. This person will cater to finance, this person, and the core processes at a high level, right? For the business, these are critical things that your business plan will cover, okay? And then, these are components of a business plan. Like I said, we cannot in this conversation talk about the details of this, right? But what we're going to do for us is we'll be sharing materials that you can leverage. And of course, if you really want to have deeper conversations outside of this call, the fellowship is very open to supporting and advising as much as possible. But your business plan, after taking all the considerations that I've spoken about, must be able to have an executive summary. So when you're writing your business plan, of course, that's always the last thing you write, right? After talking about your concept, your analysis of the market, your management team and all of those things, your executive summary is usually a one-pager. Now, I don't know, my own experience as a business person is when you're talking to, high net worth people or business, senior executives, they all usually have one particular challenge, is span of focus. They are very limited because most of the time they are very narrow-minded in terms of they've grown to a point where they know what they want. So it means when you give them a plan, they're not going to read your 200-page plan. There's no way they will do that. But the executive summary must be interesting enough to capture their attention so that they can take that plan and give it to somebody that maybe within the organization that can then decompose further. So that is to say that your executive summary, for me, I would say it shouldn't be more than 2 pages. People say 3 to 5 pages. In fact, if you can make it 1 page, just a snapshot that talks about this. When I look at your plan, I should see that firsthand and then talk about, these are things you talk about. I've already summarized this. And then it's always good to have visuals that show that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, income, expenses, profits, profit after tax, so that visually they can see that, okay, this thing is growing and it's going to grow. Then there's an interest. So you want to have your charts and so on in your business plan, okay? And then your business concept, like I said, the vision of the business, your direction, where you're going to, the studies you have done, why you think the market needs what you're talking about. You're going into agric. What kind of agric are you going into? Are you sure the market needs what you're trying to grow? There are a lot of things we have to do. I'm going into poultry. Okay, do you understand that market? Because oftentimes people invest in businesses. In fact, we've been told that in Nigeria, most businesses don't grow beyond the 5-year mark. Usually, by year 3, some businesses drop off, but by year 5. So, we've been told by experts that when your business grows beyond 5 years, then your chances of succeeding are higher. Then when you get to 10 years, you are really serious, right? So, but if you don't do your feasibility study and document it properly, you may not be able to represent it in a document, right? Okay, so and then the value proposition, the key selling, proposition of what you are selling, whatever the services are, all of these things, your business concept covers it. I've explained your market analysis. The market is basically who is going to buy your service. Who are you selling to, right? What types of customers, right? Depending on what you are doing, you can have different customer types. We are probably selling to people that are under 10, another product for people that are more than 10 to 15, or it could be B2B, that's you're selling to corporates, or you're selling to consumers directly. Whatever your segmentation is, you must be able to document it, right? Then projects, you must show your market share. Yes, today, we know that we're like 0.5% of the market, for example, but we know that we can get to 50% of the market. I mean, like in the business that we do, for example, we started out, like I said, in what everybody's doing. So yes, we have agency banking, we have some terminals in the market. CBN has said that for the market to be fully saturated, you need about 5 million agency banking points based on CBN and FINA report, right? Today, we have about almost 2 million of that. So that means if agency banking is the only thing I want to do, there's still a market for 3 million, right? So if I look at the numbers based on the points I have today, where do I sit in that market? Then I can begin to look at how do I grow in that market, or what do I need to do? And then it positions your products, your services. Then pricing is very key, right? I think one of the mistakes that I see a lot of people make is there's a lot of emotions that we bring into our, business plans and so on. The truth is, whatever you are selling, the price must be more than the cost of what you're selling. You must have a profit. If you don't have a profit, even if you scale to 1 billion, your loss will be times 1 billion, right? Okay. And it goes on. The management team have spoken about this. The marketing plan, I've spoken about this, the financial plan, the operations plan. All right, because my time is fast spent. I'm a minute beyond my allotted time. But that's what your business plan should cover. Now, for the audience, how do we take this forward? How do I use all these conversations and information that we've shared? So I'll be sharing all of this with us in the chat room. So now out there are templates, 1001 templates you can look at that will guide you. So these resources will help you. Startup.com, you will see templates. You can read up investor types. You can see business plan examples. In fact, there's one of the links I'm sharing with you where you can look at what kind of business do you want to build. And there's a ready-made business plan that will help you think through it, okay? So that at the end of the day, you have a bit of guidance. All right. At this point, I'd like to say thank you very much for listening to this discussion. Thank you very much. We've spent about 45 minutes plus at this time. But I'd like to end the conversation on this point. Somebody was speaking recently and he said that when you look at the biggest corporations in Nigeria, that the best businesses are yet to come. That because when you look at the top corporations, what they are doing, and you compare it internationally, and you look at the potentials of the market, the truth is, we need bigger businesses than MTN. We need bigger businesses than Zenith Bank, GTB, and so on. And so what that person was trying to say is the businesses of the future are still yet to be born. So it means you and I are the ones that can build those businesses. And we have to start by building a plan and thinking about how to build our ideas. Just this week, I was reading about Colonel Sanders, and it's something that intrigued me and has stayed with me. I mean, it's a story my mom used to tell me as a child, interestingly, but for the first time I started reading it, and the guy was 64 years when he started Kentucky Fried Chicken after doing a whole lot of different, things. And 64, he started Kentucky Fried Chicken. He died a millionaire in dollars. I mean, today is a billionaire in dollars at the age of 94. And the business was all over North America, Central America. It was everywhere. A business is started at age 64. So I don't know how old you are today or where you are in your journey, but I'm saying to you that you have to pull your own strings. And I leave us with this quote by Marianne Williams. is a quote that inspires me, and I hope it will inspire you as we end the discussion this evening. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It's our light and not our darkness that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We are born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. And as you let your own light shine, you unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. So I'd like to say to us this evening, ladies and gentlemen, let your light shine. Go out there and build something great. Thank you very much. Unmute and take your question. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, sir. Good evening.
Yeah, Mr. Adedeji, God bless you. I'm Samson Odipe from the Czech Republic here in Prague.
Okay.
I can't imagine you've dropped all this just for free. May God continue to strengthen you.
Amen.
Just awesome. I'm a Nigerian. I've been here for like more than 2 decades now. I have just 2 things to drop. The first one is the Nigeria factor. The Nigeria factor. I belong to the agro sector. Okay. I was in the news in Nigeria 4 months ago. You know, we are one of the major importers and distributors of major raw materials for the feed and food industries. Now, this is it. The way we work here, I have access, I know you know this, I have access to what we call credit insurance here. I don't need loans. I don't need investors. Okay. Here, when you grow your business to a point, you have access to credit insurance. You can have access to credit insurance worth $5 million, $10 million. The figures doesn't mean anything to them here. Hello?
Yeah, I'm with you, sir. I'm with you, sir.
Yes, sir. Now, I went to Nigeria. Already, I said it earlier, we're in the market. I went to sit down with my bank in Nigeria. The bankers there, we sat down. I made A to Z of the whole something known to them. I don't need your money. I don't need this. I will bring in my goods to supply I have a company in Nigeria called Agro Merits Limited. You can check that. Now, I talked to them. I said, sir, I don't need your money. I will bring in these goods based on bills for collection. I will supply my people, give them 90 days to pay, sell, pay, then repatriate my money. I did that. I sent goods worth $2 million.
I'm losing you, sir. Oh, your mic is muted.
Yeah, I know. Are you with me, sir?
Yeah, I'm with you. Okay.
I sent goods worth $2 million to Nigeria within 4 months. As we speak, between September last year and as we speak, I lost more than 700 million naira. They were telling me that, but they were telling me, oh, CBN disappointed. Before I exported the goods to Nigeria, my brother, they told me clearly, they said, Mr. Sampson, they gave me what they call confirmation line. You know what it is in Nigeria.
Yeah.
Assuring me, don't worry, we'll repatriate your money. After the confirmation line, they promised everything. That forest is not an issue. Then I had the contract with them, everything they assured me. Then I based my costing on 450 or 500 naira. Before you know it, I started repatriating. You know those goods, they were on credit.
Yeah.
So I started repatriating money at 750. Do you know what it means? That is why I said the Nigeria factor. I lost more than 700 million as we speak. All those things. That one is number one. Then in Nigeria, you know, when you look at when you take a closer look at the situation, it defies all known economic theories and principles. It's good to have business plan, to have all these things. At the end of the day, to realize them, it's an issue. Then the last one, which is so disheartening. I left Nigeria recently. I said, okay, I went to a bank. Again, another bank. I talked to them, sir, I have access to credits here. Then the producer in Italy, they gave me, because of my relationship with them, they said, Mr. Sampson, we are going to give you goods. The mode of payment is 120 days from BL date. 120 days from BL date. The cycle is maximum of 90 days. You know what the banks in Nigeria told me? They say, okay, Samson is good. You know, I don't need money, I don't need anything. But all they need my bank to do is to prepare, to establish an unconfirmed LC. Unconfirmed LC payable within 120 days. Then you now listen to the condition from my bank in Nigeria. They said, Mr. Sampson, and then another thing, I have off-takers that gave me, I have purchase order worth more than 2 billion naira on my table. I showed it to them.
Yeah.
What do I tell the bank to do? The next thing they said, I have to bring this. They need collateral. They need this. Then they need 50% of the invoice value must be on the account. What are we telling ourselves? It's all, you know, that is why I said the Nigeria factor. I got credit from Italy. Then for my bank to handle the transaction, they now put rope on my neck.
I
So,
can relate to what you are talking about, sir. I can relate to it.
So does it?
I can relate to it.
So disheartening.
And I think that are you done, sir?
Yeah, I'm true. Okay. That's the Nigeria factor.
You are absolutely correct. And you know, if you recall, when I was speaking, I was talking about the risk factors as part of our business plan. The truth about it is, and I must say as well that you're also correct. Your business plan does not guarantee anything in terms of success. There are no guarantees, right? But you know, like a wise man said, he says, shoot for the moon, so that at least if you miss the moon, you will land amongst the stars. What your business plan does for you is it forces you to think about all the things that can go right or wrong, and risk will always be there. If I were told that you cannot eliminate risk, you can only manage risk, but at least it will be better managed. I agree with you absolutely. The reality of Nigeria is it's challenging to do business in Nigeria. But you know, but just like I said, it's also interesting that businesses are raising capital in Nigeria, scaling in Nigeria. Sometimes you begin to wonder, how are they doing it? It's not easy, but there must be a way to go about Nigeria. But the truth is, I agree with you that doing business in Nigeria is challenging. I'm part of a business. We're doing valuation before now at 450. So look at when I convert my Naira transactions to dollar at 450. So maybe I'm happy to say, oh, I'm doing this amount in dollars and I'm talking to potential investors. Then all of a sudden overnight, that thing goes to 800. So it means 50% of my revenue has dropped.
Yeah, you see.
You know, so my valuation has dropped really. So, but there are realities, but there are obstacles that can be addressed, not only by a business plan, but there are deeper conversations, beyond this call. Yeah, there are other conversations, because the truth is there are challenges in Nigeria. The banks can frustrate you. Various things can frustrate you. You even want to bring in capital, you want to repatriate. Yes. But the truth remains that there are always ways around it.
Yeah, sir, can you give me just 10 seconds more?
Please go ahead, sir.
I would like to know you in person. You know, my situation is so different. Now, I don't need money.
I do understand.
I have the credits here.
I do understand.
But for my banks in Nigeria to handle the transaction is the problem now. Asking me to drop 50% of the invoice value. If it's 2 million, I have to do 2, and they will not send the money. Then another thing is that they requested for letter of indemnity. You understand me? You know, yeah, forbidding me to ask for payment before 120 days unless the account that the account is founded. You can see everything. I presented the letter saying I will not ask for 1 kobo, sir. This is my business. I am controlling the credit here. I have worked hard for more than 2 decades. I have access to credits. Now going back to my country, I have off-takers, big companies like Grand Siri, Premier Fees, all of them. They gave me purchase order. Now the banks now, it's so, my brother, sometimes you feel like crying. That country.
Honestly, sir, I understand. And I think it's a conversation that, I mean, we can take it outside of the call. I mean, we have your contacts from the registration. We can reach out, or you can send us an email.
No problem.
And we can get in touch outside of the call. There are people on the Full Gospel Businessmen. In fact, is Innocent Daniels on this call? If you're on the call, maybe you want to say 1 or 2 things to what our guest is talking about. Innocent Daniels, if you're on the call, please, if you can unmute, I can allow you to speak for 2-3 minutes to these challenges and the ways around it, because I know you're in that sector.
Can you hear me?
Just 2-3 minutes. Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
Oh, sorry, please unmute your mic again. Sorry.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, you are audible.
I'm actually on the way, and I carefully listened to him, and I could feel his pain. However, there's a way to go about it, and I believe it's something that we can talk of this call. There's a solution to it. We understand, the way our bank look at those things. They don't look at it the way he's looking at it, but there's a way around it. So, but it's something that we can discuss of this place and give him soft landing on how he can go about it.
Okay. I mean, thank you, Mr. Daniel. Okay, so but just for clarity, Full Gospel is a businessman's fellowship. We don't provide advisory services. We don't provide banking services, and but we can, as brethren, advise ourselves. But Full Gospel would not do that as a fellowship. Just to disclaim and be clear. But of course, from these conversations, we have this from time to time. I remember we had somebody from Czech Republic at some point that had issues importing, and I know that somehow there have been conversations with people in that space, and through networking, and some of those problems can be solved. Every problem can be solved, and we're happy to speak to you about it further. Thank you very much, sir. Please, do we have any other question? Any other question on the call? If there's no other question, I would like to say a big thank you to everyone, and then we'll move to the call for membership. The meeting will end not in a few minutes, but we'd like to take call to membership and take some announcements, and then we will close the meeting. All right. Mr. President, over to you, sir, for the call to membership.
Thank you very much, Adedeji. All right, I'm sure there might be anyone that is actually looking for after this kind of an inciting presentation. I'm sure we all have someone that might be thinking, okay, how can I be part of this chapter or be part of this move? Just to explain to you, to be a member of the Full Gospel, particularly the young generation chapter, there are a few requirements. Number one, you must be born again. As you can see on the platform, you must be a born again Christian. You must be a working professional, and you must be, open to, is actually open to the opportunities open to both men and women. Now, there might be some people that always thought that Full Gospel is only for men. Even over the sea, we now Full Gospel, we have members who are women. And also, we have them. We also have the section for women whereby they actually come together, they have their meetings. But for the new generation chapter, is open for both young. We have in some of our members we have lawyers who are ladies, we have businessmen, we have an IT person, we have entrepreneurs who are actually women in our chapter. So it's actually open to both men and women. Now, another thing is that we are not only doing a service at the Full Gospel just with our with our name or putting our name down or attending the program. One of the things we actually use our finances to serve at the full gospel. But however, having said that, you know, the commitment, the financial commitment in order for you to become a member is something that carefully the chapter or the organization have taken their time to make sure that it's not something that will be a burden to anybody. And as you can see on the screen, it stated for a whole year, in order for you to be a member, you just have to actually put forward the 1,000 naira, which is the membership fee. And for women, we have the 500 naira, which is their membership fee allocated for them. So please, if you want to, just kindly leave a message on the chats. We can pick you up there or send a message on the group chat. And if you are coming here for the first time, it's actually open for you to become a member. So please leave a message for us. We can pick you there and message you afterwards to actually get you to become a member. Now, can I also say this for you to actually be, for those who might actually be interested in, you know, the only programming, what we do at the new generation chapter, just as I said earlier, is just for us. There's nothing other thing than for us to actually organize talks like this, organize meetings like this, even physical meetings whereby we meet together, we exchange contacts, we meet people, talk to one another of same mindset, same mind. And what we want to do is just to exchange ideas. And we run these programs, we run it twice in a month, which is open. We send messages just to remind everyone. We have a WhatsApp platform whereby we communicate those meetings, just to do a reminder and send the flyers, just for everybody that are interested to come around and be a part of the meeting. So those are the commitment that is required after your financial commitment, and also the requirement that is listed on the screen here. So just bear in mind that it's not more than that. So thank you very much. Don't forget, for those who are interested, just leave your name and a telephone number we can contact you on. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. President.